Welcome to Leadership in Tech, a bi-weekly podcast series on software engineering and product development. I'm your host, Pradipe Yoggi, a senior engineering leader with more than a decade of senior leadership experience in public and PE-backed tech companies. The views expressed by me or my guests are not the views of my employer or those of my guests' employers. Take a listen, share, subscribe, and comment. Welcome to Leadership in Tech. This is an episode with Priyanka Halder, who is the VP of Quality Engineering with HealthEdge.
Thank you, Pradeep. I'm Priyanka. I am the VP of QA in HealthEdge. I have almost 18 plus years of experience doing quality engineering. Started my career back in India with Accenture, moved on to Dell R&D, and then I came here, did my Master of Science, Computer Science. And after that, I started working for Unicorn Startup in Los Angeles, TrueCar, GoodRx, and then Oscar Health and now HealthEdge. So my whole background is in quality engineering. I'm also a very known speaker in the quality engineering space. So you will see me speaking, giving keynote in various conferences these days. What else? In my personal life, I'm mother of two beautiful daughters. Yeah, that's pretty much about me.
That's fantastic. So that leads me right to that question of like, how did you accomplish the influence that you have in the industry, right? Like I've seen your growth over the last, say, 8 or 10 years. And just tell us briefly, like how the whole journey started in terms of going into a leadership role, and then how you started, getting to like meetups and speaking at meetups and other keynotes.
Sure, sure. So I guess the leadership journey started in US when I started in my first company, TrueCar. I worked there for 4 years and it was pretty organic journey. Started as a QA engineer and then got promoted to different title. And I ended with a leadership role where I was leading their brand new mobile application release and deployments right there. I think leadership comes very naturally. It's a very inbuilt nature. I'm very outgoing, outspoken, social, and I am the that one person in the room who will ask the tough questions. Like, no one wants to raise their hand, but I think from kindergarten, I was the girl who will raise the hand and ask questions. So it comes super naturally. I think the next big thing happened was I was on my maternity leave, like almost at the 4 years of TrueCar, and I was actually thinking not to go back to work. And my husband Shantanu, he has worked with you.
Yeah.
He's like, Priyanka, you are not the material who can sit at home. So don't even think about that. Either look for a new job or go back. And if you don't like it, you don't have to do it. And out of the blue, I got a director of quality engineering role, like an interview. And I'm like, I'm always with the mindset, what will happen worst? They will say no to me. But I am not the person who will say, oh, I have never been a director. How will I do that? Right role. So I went ahead and gave the interview. It worked out. So like from senior QA engineer, I directly jumped onto director of quality. It was a pre-seed startup, but still, because I was the head of the QA, I had the liberty to do everything from designing to like vendor selections. It was a great experience for 8 months. They unfortunately ran out of money at that point. And in that company, I was actually talking to a colleague, and she came and told, there is a really good startup in Los Angeles called Heal. They send doctor to your house. And I'm like, let me check it out. My kid was sick. Checked it out, the app, and it was so smooth of experience. I actually reached out to the CEO, Nick Desai, on LinkedIn. And I wrote a note saying, Nick, I love your app. I'm in quality engineering space. If you ever need somebody like me, I would be happy to interview for your company. And the next thing is, he's like, we have a role. Why don't you come and interview? I don't know, like stars were aligned, right? So again, I interviewed and I got the role for head of quality at his company. And it from there on, it was just like upward and onward, because again, I worked with a couple of the biggest, like best leaders. Our CTO was from Amazon. And then there was one more VP of engineering, Bhavini Sonaji. She was from Microsoft, like a very big time she had spent in Microsoft. So it was like amazing. And there I met my, like, I hired architect, QA architect Vahan Melikan, another game changing for my career because he knew the best implementation. So again, I spent there for 2 years, moved on to GoodRx, another unicorn startup, built a very good team. And like the implementation we did there is industry known. Till in various vendors, you will see my articles there. Like we used to run 2.5 million tests
Wow.
in a given month. Yeah, and with 99% stability. Like it's unheard of. So that's the point where I started getting engaged in meetup and talking, right? So during GoodRx, we did something like extraordinary when it came to automation engineering, right? So, and then I thought, like, why don't I not try to tell that story, what we have done? Because a lot of the podcast and a lot of the webinar, you just see people are pitching about a product. There is
Mhm.
no real implementation that they talk about. So I thought, like, why don't I go and I tell the story, like how we did it, right? And my first talk name was Taming Your Dragon. It's after a movie, kids movie. Yeah, and I still remember, like, I think I did a very good job. I still remember talking to Vahan, going to office one day, that either I'm going to be super successful in talk or it will be a super flop. Let me just take a stand, like how I do it. So again, I did the same talk first in a LA meetup that we actually conducted in GoodRx with the local meetup group, and a lot of people came. So there first, then I did it in San Francisco for Browser Stack, another meetup, and then directly went to New York for a conference and I gave the same talk, and it became so popular. I actually that year gave the same talk, I think around 14, 15 times in a various, like all over the US. I went to Texas, I went to yeah, Austin, Texas, I went to Chicago. I remember giving the talk to all over. It was so popular. So that's how my journey started. And like as I went ahead and I gave more and more talk, like then I got started getting invitation for a keynote as well. And last year I did, I think, one of the best keynote that I have done, where I compared quality engineering with Disney characters and stories, and it was pretty famous as well. Like it was hilarious when I compared some of the actual thing that happened in software world with Disney stories. So that's how it started, and I'm glad that people like my storytelling capability. And again, similar thing, this opportunities gave me the role of advisor. My work in the past, that's how I'm known in the industry.
That's amazing. I didn't have the backstory on this, so I just watched it as a, external person seeing your growth on LinkedIn. So it was really very insightful. Now, this series of talks that you did, going to different cities, was that like a QA interest group, or like what was it?
There are various QA testing conferences. Yeah, so one was for leadership. I think it used to called NYC Test Leadership Congress. Yeah, my first one was Test Leadership Congress, and then there is some known testing conferences as well, which is called Star Canada, Star East, Star West. Actually, the one happens in Florida only. Star East. It just finished. So I'm like a complete Star family. I always go to there. This is the first year I'm taking a break after a long time because of my like work commitment. But yeah, I was all on their all of their conferences, got invited to speak.
I see. So it's a seems like it's a pretty organic way that you grew, which is you started talking in a local group, and then that got recognized, and then you got invited to another one in another city, and so
Right.
on. Is that right?
Yes, absolutely. And again, like when I spoke to one of the star conferences first, they'd actually take ratings, like how your talk became.
Uh,
My rating came, I think, 9.8 out of 10.
wow,
They're like, okay, you're redoing this talk again to my ours other two. So it went so good. So then I got an invite for other two as well. Yeah, yeah.
wow, that's phenomenal. Uh, like really, really, I'm having like goosebumps here listening to that.
Thank you. Yeah, like telling the story, it feels like such a like filmy story to tell, but it is how it happened. And fortunately, GoodRx was a company who has policies. Like if you will speak to a conference, they will sponsor your ticket and sponsor
Oh,
everything. So I had that backup as well. So like I didn't have to ask for like for the smaller groups, I didn't have to ask for tickets like the air ticket or anything. GoodRx will always support. So that helped me a lot.
that's phenomenal. Yes, it is like a storied growth. experience that you had. So a little bit about I remember you mentioning something on a post LinkedIn some years ago about a pivotal moment in your life. Could you briefly touch upon that? I mean, you already said that you have been like the kid in kindergarten that would raise her hand and ask the tough questions. So you already had that in you, but how
Right.
did this event actually, I guess, bring that to fore or make it bigger?
True. So I think it was my final year of my bachelor degree, and my father became very sick. He went into coma for a couple of months. And again, I was in my final year, and my dad used to deal with all the financial. I knew a little bit about it. So then my mom, she's a housewife, so she followed on me that on this particular journey that okay, Priyanka, like you have to figure out like how we will be paying his hospital bills, what we need to do with the finances, and how we will be managing it when your father is in hospital. And I think I pretty naturally, again, organically took this over. I do have a sister who is 5 years elder to me, but somehow again, I in the family people rely on me a lot. Maybe I'm the kid who always raise hands to do different things. That's why I think in that moment I had to decide like how I'm gonna arrange that big amount of money to save my father and pay the hospital bills. And I still remember like we have to go and sell gold jewelry at that point of time. It was that bad. We didn't have cash and on hand, right, for the amount we had to pay. So me taking that decision and telling mom it will be fine, like at this point gold doesn't matter, that matters. So this is what will give us the finances, and this is how we're gonna be uh, doing it. That time I think that was a pivoting moment because of the pressure that I had to handle and the decision I took. And fun, like ultimately we got the money, we gave it to hospital, we save our father. That time I think it was pivotal. And why it is pivotal, and that's why I think I'm so confident in my skin when I go to any company. And in my entire journey, every company has hired me when they were looking for a quality engineering transitions. So I am not known for like just going with the status quo or doing whatever everyone is doing. I'm always the dark horse. Like if everybody's doing something different, I will be the only on the corner with my team doing completely different, like that can be really talked about, right? So I guess yes, at the age of 21, because I had to take such a big responsibility for my family, it has shaped me taking that stress and deal with it and come up with come out with flying colors. So yeah, I think it was very very pivotal. And I actually I wrote that LinkedIn post on my 40th birthday, and I said like how this that has shaped me and how my
Yeah.
journey has been.
So sorry if I misremembered it, which means your dad actually made it out of that situation.
He did.
Okay, wow,
And
that's phenomenal.
yeah, he did.
That's leadership under fire, right? Like having the confidence to make a tough decision and saying that it's all going to turn out fine. That's, I think, is a real mark of leadership.
Yeah,
So
yeah, for sure. And for a 21 years old girl, like doing
yes,
it for the first time. So, like, again, one more thing I think it taught me was that, like, sometimes you don't see the whole staircase, you just see the first few steps. Just go ahead with the faith, and you will land on your journey. And I have practiced that as well throughout my career, throughout my personal life. So, yeah, that was definitely a very key moment of my life.
wow. I think there's a parallel with that in the Chinese proverb, I believe, which is a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a step, or the path will reveal itself as you start walking, something like that. Okay, so now switching gears a little bit on leadership. You've led several organizations over the last several years. What values influence how you lead?
I think there are quite a few value that I really go by, but the biggest one is empathy. I think without empathy, you cannot build a team and you cannot empathize with your customer. So the other side of the coin is customer obsession, right? Quality is something, it's very, very intertwined how customer feels about your product. It's a combination of art and science. It's not like, okay, because you have put in a product which works can align with the customer or not. So these are the like the very top two. Like I'm obsessed about customer. When I joined a company, I make sure I understand various customer persona, being it internal, being it outside, inside out, and then only I can say these are the quality gate we need, because sometimes even 100% bug free software also will not help a company with their quality. People will say, okay, I don't even know how to navigate the system because the UX is so bad, like I can't navigate myself. So that one thing. And another big thing that I understood being a leader early on is that you have to help others to grow yourself, right? So when I build a team, I am not micromanaging them, like what they are doing, how they are doing it. We all have one goal. So I clear the vision, right? What goal we are going to achieve that quarter, that month, that year. And then I rally with my team and I make the path for them so they can grow. And I think that's why I have such a strong fan following from my previous companies as well. Like from the first company, I still have friends who comes to my house, my daughter's birthday still will show up. And to be honest, Pradeep, like we have very few managers with whom we want to be connected with, right? Like when we leave a company, we're like, oh God, thank God, don't have to deal with that person anymore. But like very few people we have in our life where we were like, okay, we want to see them, we want to spend time with them, or we want to stay with them. And I'm fortunate enough that I built that team who is still very close to me. I can call them anytime. Sometimes even with new technology, I brainstorm with them, and it's still there. And I think it's because of my leadership style, because I helped them grew in their career as I was growing. So yeah, these are a couple of things that comes to mind.
Wow, that's great. Um, I think you speak to a point that I really value very much as well, the point of empathy. And it was before the term empathy became popular in management. For me, it was always like, how would I want to be treated? Was
Exactly.
how I would try to handle things. But it's also interesting to see that you are not micromanaging, and you tend to make sure the vision is well understood, the goal is clear for the month or the quarter of the year. And I think that allows people to really like explore and do the right things in order to accomplish the goal. So fascinating. So on the next question, in your view, like what have been the success factors related to the success in your roles? I think you kind of touched upon it right now, with one is like empathy and the other is like not micromanaging and setting a clear vision. But are there anything else that comes in, and it doesn't have to be specific to leadership, also your own qualities, how you approach things, right?
I think I would say I was at the right time, right company. That has to do with how my journey has shaped up. I was very, very lucky to start my career in Los Angeles with TrueCar. Again, they were known from cutting edge technology, doing the best thing in the industry when it comes to apps, website. They were redesigning website. Another very not known thing about my career is I have gone through lot of transformation, being it like going from a legacy system to a new system, being it going to cloud, being it going to a new a marketing platform, going to a new authentication platform, Okta, going to a new even data integration platform like what was the name? There was one, the Amplitude, right? Yeah, Amplitude.
Hmm.
So again, I was always working on cutting edge technologies, right? Not with very legacy systems and all doing this very hard transformations for those companies. So when I built the QA team around it, so we were already doing something amazing. So the next company, when I went and I told the story of my previous company, like they were already fascinated that I have walked the path that they might be walking in few months, right? So that's why I stand out so differently from others when I interview, that okay, I have done, like you can name it and I can assure you I have done it. Like from I have experience in mobile like, application, and not only like a season mobile application. We have done it like from 0 to 1. We have done it from like the web services, web page for like hybrid kind of a mobile application. We have done native mobile application. So I can tell you like 5 different framework I have worked on mobile framework, on those various ones. Like I have worked on design systems. So again, it has to do with my journey that I was fortunate enough, or I was at the right time, right company somehow. And then most of them were, I didn't even like, Heal is one of the One which I was like super excited to join because I was a user myself. But to be honest, most of them I did not even know about them before I joined them. For example, Oscar Health, I had never heard of them as a like pair. Like we know Aetna, we know all these big national companies. No one knew that Oscar is one of the top runner when it comes to modernization in healthcare, right? They have microservices where other users mainframe. So
Oh,
again,
wow.
I was lucky enough to be there. And I'll tell you a story about Oscar. So after GoodRx, I actually left GoodRx as a agile delivery lead, right? So, and after that, I was like, okay, I have done quality enough. Let me try something different. Maybe this time I want to be operations or something else like product operations, because that also comes pretty naturally doing quality, right? There was an opening of TPM. I think I applied there, and they called me for a product operation roles. I did the whole round of interview, and my last round was with our CTO. She took a 30 minutes call. So again, I'm explaining my journey. So end of the call, she said, we need a director of QA. You are becoming director of QA. There was no role for quality on that company. She was just thinking about that role. So I did the whole round for products, and then I went did the CTO call, then again did another two rounds for director of quality. Finally, I was director of quality, building the quality engineering team ground up for that company. So yeah, I think like that has to do with my journey where I am in this short like 15 years.
Nice. A lot of factors have come together, right? I think you mentioned very rightly that you are at the right place at the right time, but you also were the kind of person that could take advantage of that situation or what was presented, right? So there are two key components, right? One is the environment, but also yourself as to how you bring yourself, how you present yourself, and so on. So I find this very insightful and fascinating, and I hope our listeners and viewers also, have some really good takeaways in terms of career growth. So now, having managed in multiple places, built multiple QA organizations ground up, and you probably reported to several leaders, right? Are there like any myths about management that you have uncovered?
That's a tough question. Even
Yeah,
if I don't know if I want to say it on a podcast.
understood.
No, I think I will tell you a funny story about myself. So when I used to be a QA engineer, I used to look at the managers and VPs, and I would say, "What a life! Must be so cool. You don't have to do much. Look at some Excel sheet and just tell people what to do." And I am the one who is doing all the work with this many devices, this many browsers. I'm killing myself to get this done. Then I became manager, and I started building team, and I was like, I was hardly sleeping. My India vendors used to be so impressed by me that I reply within 30 minutes of them sending me emails. And then I thought, yeah, like manager is the most difficult job because like you have to manage so much, you have to influence others to do it. Then slowly I became director, and now I'm a VP, and now I handle multiple business unit and like multiple stakeholders, board, sometimes even help with board presentations. And I'm like, oh my God, I did not see this coming. I like 10 years back, if I would ask this question to myself, like, what does VPs do? I would say they just chill. Like they have nothing to do. They go from meeting to meeting and just tell people what to do and then chill about it. But the reality is so different, right? When you are a VP yourself, so you know, like how much pressure you have to when you run a business unit, like being it doing the
Yeah,
strategy, the vision, the roadmaps, aligning with roadmaps, figuring out vendors, telling to board that what is going on, what you will be achieving this quarter, if something is not on track, if we are pivoting from the current strategy or not. So yeah, I think that is not very known, and I don't think there is much podcast or leadership talk where people talk about it fully, that how the roles like evolves and what it entitles.
right. No, I think it reflects my own view on management as well. When I grew into managerial roles, I could see that initially it was overwhelming, right? And the first response that I had personally when I was growing in managerial roles was, man, I wish I could just go back to my individual contributor role, right? But that's the thing, you have to break through and go past. So I'm glad to see that somebody else had a similar experience in terms of like, yeah, there's not much there, and then we get step in, and there's a whole new world. But that's a great answer to that question. I do appreciate that very much. So now you mentioned distributed teams, India vendor. What's been your experience working in a distributed environment where you have people on different continents, different countries? Um, Tell us a little bit about how it has been working across cultures and time zones.
Yeah, I would say there have been lot of learnings when you work globally with different time zones, different people, different culture. Like you learn even multifold, right, on your leadership journey. So even right now for HealthEdge, we have a very big development center in Bangalore, Hyderabad, Pune. So majority of my team is also in Bangalore and Pune currently. So I guess again I started the journey in Homey, where I was director. So my full team was outsourced there. They were pre-seed company, so they did not have much again money budget to get a full team. So quickly learned some of the key aspects, like how you gonna make this work when you are out of sight, out of mind, can't see people what they're doing. So you rely on only one and one thing, that is communication, right? And I tell it to everyone who ask me like how to do distributed system: nail down your communication, because you have to be crystal clear what you expect out of them, right? That was the first learning. And the second learning I had, and that is during heal, because again my automation team was in Mumbai. They will be blocked every night I was sleeping, right? And that's why I said I was hardly sleeping, because they cannot move past the work. So quickly learn. So it's not enough to tell them what you will be doing or what is your expectation are. You have to create an ecosystem so they know how they will be navigating themselves. If task one is blocked, they will be moving on to task two. If task two is blocked, they will be doing something else, but they will be not be wasting that whole day, right? Because it's a full day of work that they are doing. So finding that ecosystem, finding, nailing down your strategy, that who is their mentor that they will be quickly reaching out to if they're blocked, keeping a on-call person also if it is absolutely needed, so they can page us so that their work is not blocked, was also very pivotal for me. But like I swear by the communication piece a lot, because that's what makes it's like pivotal for
Yeah,
me to make sure that my teams globally working on the same vision, same work, they are crystal clear what is asked from them.
wonderful. That's very insightful. What excites you about QA engineering at this point in time?
I think I've done it so much now, nothing excites me. No, that is not the answer I want to give. That was joke. I think in present world, AI, obviously, there is so much innovation going on. I don't know if you have heard about MCPs. This is a protocol,
Yeah,
brand new protocol that came
yeah.
out. Yeah, to standardize all the AI agents and like all the automation testing, and this kind of innovation is making it more easier for us to reach to automation, to achieve like bigger automation goals in a shorter amount of time. So I'm very very excited on this side of the house, how AI gonna shape quality engineering and how we can be on the forefront of running it. Another thing that again AI I'm practicing from 2018, from GoodRx time. We used to use a tool called Tools. It was visual testing tool where like it was more ML. Like you will run through some visual validation, it will learn itself like what is the actual difference versus what is a not a bug, right? Similar kind of thing. But after that, another thing that I was super excited was about like using AI. So right now you see a lot of tools which can scan your websites, and which it can follow your customers, and it gonna tell you what test you need to do depending on those flows. So Catalan has something called True Test. I'm an advisor for a company called LoadMill. So they actually scan all your APIs, and they can actually chain the APIs. They can also figure out what kind of different variables you are using, either it's an order ID or not. So like it's fascinating. Now in minutes, you don't even have to use your brain. Like AI tools are telling you the baselines, and then you use your brain and say, yeah, it's right, it's wrong. So I think there's a lot of optimizations and innovation in that space, and I'm very excited about that.
Excellent. So you mentioned MCP. Are you actually using MCP in any development, QA engineering development right now?
I am surfacing the idea of using it in HealthEdge, but there is a full governance team who needs to give a clearance, and a lot of these MCP servers are open sourced. We work in health tech, right? So it's not easy to choose a MCP server that can, and like when you are using them, you have to actually, let's say you are automating a task of reading all your emails from Gmail. You have to actually share your password and email ID with them. I'm just giving an example, so just think of that in context of our applications. We are claim processing system, so we have HIPAA, we have like people's very personal information on those claims. So it's not easy to do that. We might have to develop our own. But I'm definitely surfacing the idea with my boss, and her boss, so that like I'm always forerunner on any of those innovations. So I would love to, yeah, get my hand dirty there.
Nice. So, you know, and a follow-on question on that is like, how do you, you mentioned like you're looking at MCP, right? Like, which is cutting edge. So, like, what part of your day or week is spent looking at, hey, how do I take this to the next level, to the future, apply new things, versus very operationally focused about, how the tests are running, how the metrics are looking, and, what's creating trouble in terms of workflow and results and stuff. Can you just briefly shed light on that?
Yeah, I think that goes back to a question how I manage my day and how I accomplish so many things. To be truly giving this answer, I don't know how I do it. I just do it. I think I am a very unique person, like who will be listening to a podcast at the same time cooking and might be trying to get a dumbbell and do like get some workout at the same time, kind of a crazy girl. So firstly, like I spend pockets of my time first understand like learning this different cutting edge system, right? And then especially over the weekend, I have dedicated time when I'm thinking through my advisory role, when I'm thinking through all this cutting edge products that are coming out, evaluating and making sure that okay, I have a path forward to either learning it myself, trying it in my own computer, doing few stuff. But yeah, that's how I do it. But when it comes to my company, again, like if I like a tool, for example, we went low code no code with Catalan. There is a whole process of evaluating it alongside our what are our different use cases are. We do not adopt anything just for the sake of hype. It has to work. So there is a evaluation period, there is a governance period. We make sure that it gonna be scaling. Like at my point of career, like I always look for scaling, right? Like just wanting tools are not enough. So what could be the challenges for scaling? What kind of training will go out to the whole organization to adopt that tool? So spend a lot of time designing that strategy and implementation before adopting any tool.
Nice. So, is there like a specific period of the day where you're doing like a think time around this, or is it just like things that, based on what you're actually looking at, it just these thoughts just come in and organize
Yeah,
your
yeah, I don't think like I have a assigned
step
time.
way?
I have crazy schedule. I work ET hours, so I'm in West Coast. My day starts at 5 a.m. with meetings. Like I just do meetings like back to back, and then do my work. By 3 o'clock, I'm free. I go get my kids. Then the kids thing starts. I need to do my workout every day. So 5 o'clock, I go for my workout, and then maybe after that, cooking and reading on the sides and doing stuff. But I think it flows organically. I'm not the person who is very structured around how I learn and how I do innovation, but I make sure that it is in my schedule somewhere. But I'm not the person like who wakes up and take a glass of water and then think, no, I'm not that person. But I do read about those people a lot, like what it goods look like. I can do that.
Well, that's good to know because I've tried to do that and I can't do that. So, uh, I think things happening organically is very
Yeah,
natural, I think.
yeah.
But it's pretty fascinating, some of the things you mentioned. My wife is a multitasker. She could be like listening to something that is like actually very intellectual and doing her work. and there's no way I can do that. But uh,
I think one more thing I have to tell you is I can't listen any YouTube video in 1x. I usually listen in 2x speed. I'm
wow,
like, these are too slow for me. Go fast. I don't have time to listen to all your stuff. I don't know if it is abnormal about me doing it, but I just can't. Being it a cooking video or a tech video, I need double speed to hear it and finish it. Now I have
yeah,
started doing that for my movies also. Like I do not have patience to watch movies, so I watch it in 2x, 3x and get it done with. I just need to know the, the script.
wow, okay, yeah. I have a colleague who watches things at like 1 point, no, 2x. I think, yeah. There's no way I can watch it at 2x, but it's interesting how some people can do that. So, now switching gears a little bit, say in growth and hiring. What about like somebody that wants to grow into a leadership role? From your own personal experience, what advice would you give them?
I think it will be little cliched, but I'm gonna say the same thing. It's like don't wait for the title and just own things, right? Once you start owning things, once you start voluntarily solving problem for your companies, you will be recognized automatically. I think I have seen two kind of people who works under me. One is wait for the title, and one is like continuously showing growth and growth mindset. When you are in the second bucket, like it again, the name, title, job, salary, everything follows. But if you have the correct mindset, right, where you just own thing, you just love to solve problem, you automatically get it, right, like get it,
Yeah,
get the lifeline and get the job ultimately there. The other thing I would say is learning is very very important, so continuous learning. Like people might think, oh, I am a big shot in quality engineering, or I do this, I do that. Every day I spend some amount of time learning what I don't know, right? And I think that has been pivotal, and I think it came from very early on. In Dell, I used to work for a uh, person called Sujata Sundaram. Still remember she said that, oh, I read blogs every day. And I was like, oh my god, what? I don't have time to read blogs. Like, I was so young that time and I did not even make sense, right? But now, like at one point of time, I had whole Twitters like automated such a way that I only get tech related tweets, right? And I want to see that like what is happening in the tech world, in the quality engineering world. I used to follow those people and I used to learn those people. So hyper learning your industry and be top of it can help you a lot to grow as well. And I think then there is something that you can also study. So to some people leadership comes very naturally. To some people you have to learn it. So again, empathizing with your team, sometimes it doesn't come naturally, and you are, if you are very hyper achiever and you are very good at it and perfectionist, sometimes you want that inherently in your team. That doesn't work like that. So I think getting to the terms that now you work for a team and you have to enable them to do the work and you don't do the work yourself, and you have to be more like merciful and more like teaching, not like punishing them for a wrongdoing, and owning the failures and showcasing their, highlighting their success. I think it comes with the time and experience, but that's something can take you long way.
yeah, very good. That's very well said. I think it's very well articulated as well. In a very short period of time, you were able to give the key principles of what it means to grow. And I remember saying some years ago that one has to do the job before one gets the title. And what you said, I didn't realize it was a cliche, but for me, from personal experience, that's what shaped my growth in the past. But I also see that one has to constantly do that, and I see you're doing that constantly. And the learning part, like the automations about tweets and stuff, wow, that's next level learning.
I'm
So
just a bit crazy, not normal.
no, that's good. I mean, this is inspiring, right? Like, I mean, there's always a takeaway from. One of the things that I love about doing these podcasts is I get insight into people that are high achievers. So it's fascinating how you don't get to have that normally in a social setting, but in a podcast, you're able to explore that.
Right.
Uh, so I find that to be extremely, extremely enriching for me personally. And I'm sure people that listen to this, watch this, are going to get that same experience out of it. So great. So now, you've had a lot of people, right? You've built organizations ground up. What is your view on hiring in the tech industry?
Um, View in the sense, like, again, like, if I talk about today, there is a lot of hype about AI taking our jobs, and like you have to hire less, or AI will be doing 80% of the work. I think there is a lot of talks. There is not much implementation that I have seen yet. Maybe it's my own experience, and there is something going on behind the scene. But what I feel when it comes to hiring, you have to again figure out and model your organization such a way that you have the key player figured out, hired, and then balance it out with like junior and mid level, and then offshore onshore model there as well, right? And I think it's still very important. Maybe we are entering in an era where we do not need that many hands on the keyboard because of this evolution today. But I think it's still very important to have a lead, like who can then expand upon those whatever AI is giving us. So hiring will still be pretty crucial on that. And if you ask me how I hire, like what is the mantra of hiring good people,
Yeah,
rather than the skill, I hire for attitude a lot. And I have done that multiple time when I have taken a chance on a person who might have not done so great technically in the interview, but something inside me told that no, this person gonna learn and do wonderful there, right? And like they're still connected to me, and they're still in that company. Some of them are in GoodRx still, and they're still today when I talk, they embarrass me saying that, "Oh, thank you, Priyanka, for taking chance." And I'm like, nothing like that. But again, I think it's a art and science again, where like there is um, no black and white thing that okay, some person who is doing great in technical rounds gonna be a great player in the team. So balancing out the culture, the aptitude of learning, and the technical ability is that what makes a great team. And I focus on all of them.
that's very remarkable, really, because I think one of the things that when you look at how hiring has, at least when you look at job postings, right, it's just a laundry list of like things that people want, right?
Unicorn.
Yeah, like yeah, unicorn, right? Non-existent unicorn. And we have so much unemployment and we have so much open jobs. Of course, there's never going to be a one-to-one correspondence to open jobs to unemployment, but it's just unfortunate to see like roles being open for like months sometimes, right? And I think what you say resonates with me personally. Hiring for aptitude and attitude, and also like what do they know well from what they worked on, right? They may not know something that is needed for the job, but if they have demonstrated competence in something in the past, and you can sense that, so this is where that intuition or like having
Right.
the human
Right.
touch, right, comes in, and some of these people end up being great hires, right? And even promoting people, right? Like sometimes
Mhm.
you know that this person will work out great when you promote them,
Right.
and then it turns out that way. So yeah, I just wish that the hiring industry or generally tech industry had a better hiring process. Maybe AI can help here, right? Where instead of these big laundry list of things, we get a better interaction going. So
I think sometimes they have to do little bit of more practicality as well. Like I see a lot of time it's like very cookie cutter process that companies follows, that like that is my own experience have been as well, right? Do lead code, anybody can perfect lead code. Like if I'm unemployed and I'm writing code like 8 hours a day or 10 hours a day, I will be mastering that. Does
yeah,
not tell you that guy can actually implement a code in a real world, right? So one thing that I did for my companies is that doing a small project with the person, right? Like we would send them a website and tell them, hey, why don't you show how you think about the framework, how you will automate, and just maybe log in. That is also fine, but I want to see a very thought out process. Like you're not like dirty scripting. And that has helped us a lot finding like really good people in the industry.
lovely. I've done some of those things as well. This is I wouldn't say these are hacks, but I think this should become mainstream, right? Where you're not using these cookie cutter methods of hiring, but actually are being a little more nuanced about how you test and evaluate and hire.
Exactly.
Yeah, excellent. So now, for people that are looking to get hired, what advice would you give?
I would give a couple of advice. One is you have to be constantly monitoring LinkedIn and look for opening and try to be on the first 50 people applying to that. Otherwise, your resume is not reaching anywhere. Don't even bother applying when it says 100 people clicked on it because it's not reaching. The second biggest advice I give you is networking. So through networking, you can, if you can reach to a hiring manager and put your resumes in front of them, that's what gets you a call. Otherwise, it, like today's world, it's very very difficult, right? Just next to impossible to get a call for. And the third is branding. And again, you could see from my journey as well, and it has helped me a lot. Like I was, again, very organically, I never had a goal that okay, I will build a brand for myself. Somehow it happened. I became a known person in the industry. So building that brand, spending that time, getting out of your comfort zone, and maybe talking to you, Pradeep, you might say, oh, Priyanka is so comfortable in the podcast. She's talking so normally, like organically normally here, and she doesn't have any fear. And let me tell you that till today, when I go to go to a talk and I'm about to give a talk, I tell myself, like, why the hell did you sign up for this? Who told you to do that? Why you are doing it to yourself? Like, I am shit scared. Like, is it gonna land good? Is it not gonna be good? People will hate it. They will be yawning and looking at phone. Everybody has insecurity. We don't talk about it. So like coming out of your comfort zone and trying something new is very very important. So go out there, learn something new, put it out there, how you have learned it, how you have inspired even one person if you have, and you will see the results for sure.
Yeah. No, that's so authentic. I like how you have like no sort of filters. Like you just like really, if there is an experience, you're just sharing the experience. And you're right. Like I've had those things, right? Like even starting this podcast was something that was not comfortable for me, and I had to overcome those. Oh man, I should maybe not do this, right? And before every podcast interview, I feel like I should probably reschedule this.
I was thinking the same today. I was like so tired. I'm like, can I tell Pradeep I can't do this today? And I'm
Yeah,
like, no, it won't be a good thing to tell him to reschedule. I have to be professional.
yeah. Well, I mean, I was thinking the same thing too because I was staying up editing the last episode that published today morning. So, anyway, it's fascinating how we have to push past barriers that we erect in our own mind, right? And I think that is the key to growth, and it's validating to see that there's another leader that's going through such things and expanding. So it's very inspirational in that sense. Now, as a woman in tech, what do you think of women's participation in the tech business? You think we have improved over time, or is there still a long way to go?
Yeah, a long, long way to go. I'm still the only in lot of the meetings, lot of the presentations, lot of the rooms. And now I actually evangelize being in a organization called CTOs. Like it's pronounced like CTO, but it's spelled like SHETO.org,
Mhm.
who actually encourages women to get more leadership role. But honestly, I think our life is more difficult than, or maybe I'm a little biased also, but our life is more difficult than the other counterparts, because like we have to balance our home, take care of kids at the same time. If you have aspiration, you have to push really hard on that. And I think there is a lot of judgment, like when you are a woman in color, you don't speak like somebody, you don't like look like another people in the room, you have so much more to prove in the industry, right? And again, if you have taken a break in between for your family or your kids, then that's another stigma that comes along with it. And lastly, I think especially for the United States, it's unfortunate that we don't have supportive, like FMLA and other kind of a thing. Like they have FMLA, but it's only 12 weeks, right? For
Right.
pregnancy, there is like, where is India giving like a year or 6 months paid leave? We don't have that in US, which is very, very unfortunate. So some of the rules, policies are not very supportive of women to grow, right? So again, I'm a very big diehard fan. I follow a couple of people. One is the PepsiCo CEO, Indra Nui. The other one is Fiji, who is just becoming the OpenAI CEO. And I'm following her from the Instacart day. Again, from my passion, I was fascinated by Instacart when it came. And I am a very heavy user. And Shantanu, by the way, hates it that I use Instacart so much. It's like, just go to the grocery store and buy it. And I'm like, no, I prefer somebody bringing it to me than me going and spending time in grocery store. So I follow her. And why I like Fiji so much is that, like, she has a very thick accent. She's from, I think, France, yeah, from some countryside France city, and like, it's fascinating how she's conquering the world. But overall, I feel like there is no balance where women are versus men in the tech industry, and we have to do something about it. And
Very well said. Yeah, sorry, didn't mean to cut you off.
no, no, I mean, like, we need lot of sponsors. So I know, like, we a lot of time talk about mentors. That's great. But will there be you, like, after having this podcast, in somewhere you're gonna take my name and give me my next opportunity? Like, we need that kind of sponsorship from this whole industry where people are actually sponsoring the women who comes out differently. Awesome. And I think right now I see the passion to few people, but to be honest, in my own career, I have seen many questions because I was not like others, right? So my promotion came delayed, my chances came delayed. So people only see the shinier side of it. There were a lot of tears, lot of struggle, lot of failures behind the scene that put me where I am today.
Wow. Uh, that is quite insightful to see it heard from a person who I view as being very successful, right? So the struggles that you have gone through. So I was just going to say, like, wow, Priyanka, you've done a fantastic job growing your
Thank
career,
you.
regardless of all these. But you're very right, and I see it personally too at home, right? Like, certainly a mother has a little more responsibilities than a father. So I think the balancing part is so important, and having an understanding work environment, as well as better hiring practices, better leave, policies and stuff. So yeah, it's fascinating how India has implemented this such a friendly policy for maternity leave, and there's not much press coverage about it in the West. So
Yeah, yeah.
yeah. So now, in closing, there's a few questions that is more personal rather than leadership and so on. But I think there's one question that is sort of leadership, kind of like, you as a mother of your children, and you being a leader in an organization. Do you feel like these roles have sort of shaped your perspective on the other?
Oh, absolutely. I think motherhood came with a lot of learning. I make a joke a lot of time that I saw, what is that, that business
You mean Shark Tank or no?
Shark Tank, exactly, exactly. So I make this joke that I watch too much Shark Tank when my elder one is in my belly. So she is amazing at negotiation. She needs start negotiating from the time she opens her eyes that I'm not wearing this dress, I'm not taking this food to school. I'm if I do homework, you wanna buy me this, buy me that. So I think she is teaching me two things. One is patience and one is negotiation all the time. So definitely come there. And I think one more thing that goes to both the areas is like balancing and prioritizing ruthlessly, like what you are doing next. So being a mother, being a tech leader, like I am ruthlessly prioritizing my entire day, like what takes priority over what. And that helps me in my old strategy, own team, own tech implementations a big time as well.
Wow. Okay. It's a great answer, great insight as well. It actually gives me a deeper insight of like what goes into somebody that is a mother and being professionally very accomplished. I mean, I had an insight of that just watching my wife, but it's also interesting to see that in the tech industry, it gets all the more demanding, right? Because of the timelines and distributed nature of work and so on. So thanks for that. Um, Now, in terms of your skills outside of tech, do you have any skills or interests that perhaps has helped you grow as an engineer or as an engineering leader?
Skills. I think again, very social, so I do lot of volunteering things. So when I didn't have kid, I used to be a story reader for elementary school. So I went and I read stories to kids. I volunteered for senior groups, and again, this has taught me to be comfortable with like lot of people, new process changes, right? And it has shaped me a lot. So I'm very very comfortable with changes. I'm very comfortable with going out talking to customers. Like people will like as at a leadership level again, and being in quality, I deal with customers a lot, right? And I think something has to do with my this side hustle where I always kept myself busy with my volunteering work. That has definitely shaped my leadership journey for sure.
Wow, that is fascinating. You know, I myself have taken on volunteering roles more recently, like the last couple of years, and I found that it is very rewarding one, um, and also grows you as a human being, right? So it's fantastic. Now, when did this volunteering start? Have you done that from a very early age, or was it more recent?
Yeah, I think from like when I came to US again, like it's a very daunting change when you leave India, come to US, you have nobody, no family, like other than your husband. Like there is nobody here other than friends. Like how much can you do with that? So like I picked up a lot of hobbies. So one of them were volunteering, and I would just go and do it. I did it during my master's as well. I used to volunteer in one of their IT departments there, working with them for no pay. I did this for one semester. Then when I joined TrueCar, they used to have a lot of volunteering opportunities. Still, HealthEdge has like 16 hours of volunteer opportunity. So there is a food packing that happened in Santa Monica every December for people in need. So I just love going there, doing the food packing for people. Back when I was in GoodRx, I was doing that. Before that, for TrueCar also, like this reading for kids, food packing. So again, I think because I was in a companies who also prioritize volunteering work, so it came very naturally that I started doing that side by side, and I still continue to do that. Um, Till today, like though I still have two kids now, and I don't have much time. I make sure once in a year at least I spend time volunteering.
Wow, that's great. Um, Now, you know, if you weren't in tech, what completely different career would you have pursued and why?
Gosh, that's a tough question. Oh, I wanted to be a air hostess. I have to tell you that. So when I was a kid, like, and again, me and Shantanu met very early. I was just 16 when we met and fall in love. And that time I was like, okay, I'm a very middle class girl. I can't afford a air ticket. So my goal was to become an air hostess so that I can travel the world. Shantanu came in my life and he said, always look for a moon. If you fall, you will fall among the stars. And he said go do computer science, and I just picked up and did that. And then he was in testing. That's how I was like, I need to be like Shantanu. I always followed him. Fortunately I got that as my role in Accenture. And I went from there. But I think if Shantanu would have not been in my life, I would have been an air hostess, tired of giving food and stuff to people in an airplane, getting bored, doing my work. So that's what
Yeah,
it.
that's fascinating. It's also very true what a life partner can bring to you, right? It is just an idea, it's just a concept, but it shapes a whole life forward from there. So that is fascinating. Now, is there a question you wish I had asked you today?
Yeah, I think you could have asked me something more about my failures. Again, lot of people only see the success and how I have become VP and all. Let me tell you that there were cases where I had to leave a team for scenarios where I didn't want it to leave, but it was the circumstances that I had to move on and take my next job. And I cried leaving that team. Heal was one of them. Like it was obviously my decision to move on to Good Addicts, but like when I left that team, I still remember they did a farewell party for me, and I cried in that party, similar to Good Addict. So like every goodbye was very painful for me when I moved on to other one. People don't see that pain. They just see the success on it. So I'm going to tell your viewers through this podcast that when you follow a leader, yeah, it's always shiny that, okay, they are where they are. But trust me, there is lot more failures than success behind the scene that has shaped them to be there. There have been implementation which did not go good. There have been presentations where higher up didn't like it, right? And every bits of things came with a learning and with like more, I think, strength towards me that, okay, I will learn it. Maybe today I don't know, but I will conquer it. And that's how I became good at it. So again, I would like request your viewer that don't just look at the shinier stuff of it, maybe dig through and talk to them like what their failures also look like.
Right. So that is an excellent point, and I myself have had my share of failures that have and still continue to shape me. So, like, what would be like a successful action you have done, when you're encountered with a failure? It is always traumatic to an extent, right? A failure.
Yeah, absolutely. And like there are lot of stories that comes with traumas at least in my own life as well. I think one thing that I was very determined was I will not listen to that voice which is saying that I'm not good enough, and I'm gonna do bigger, better things in somewhere else, right? And fortunately I got those chances also. And again, I have a excellent life partner who always supported me. I would be truthful that like in cases I have questioned myself, like, am I good enough, am I worthy enough to even start this job though I'm getting it? And always he will come in, like Shantanu will come in and Shantanu will say, go and try it out. If you fail, you fail. There's none, like there's no shame in that, but like not trying is not an option. So
Mm,
that has helped me a lot, taking chances. And because he was so hooked onto one job, right, for 13 years, and he did not take these chances in his career, I got to do my journeys, like working for startup, for volatile company, for pre-seed, for series A, and I went on and on and on my journey to like learn from all the other. But he was the rock behind the scene, giving me that path to do and to travel.
right. That is fantastic. I know Shantanu, and I've seen him do an MBA
Oh gosh, those
uh,
days.
while he was working, right? So
Yeah.
I think it took tremendous persistence to do both. Yeah, he's a great guy. So I think you both make a good team, looks like, right? From the results that you guys have accomplished both in your personal and professional lives. So that's it's very important to have a very supportive partner. And you said he's like the rock, right? I think that's so key. And I think we all can take that as a plus, right? Those of us that are in a stable relationship can fall back on that when things don't go so right professionally, and then we are able to bounce back because we have that force that keeps us going, or just the intention that hey, you can do it, you can do something else, etc.
Yeah.
So
But I can do these things better, bigger in a company which needs it. And I think that has like always shaped up there. I think one thing I want to add here is I did not touch upon is like Indra Nooyi say that it takes a village, right, to bring up your kids, to be successful. And it's so true. And again, if people look at my success, I was able to do a lot of this conference in 2019, 2018 because my mom was here from India for a whole year supporting my kids, and then Shantanu is always there supporting the kids, right? So then I get to go out to all these conferences throughout the United States and do it, leaving my two little kid at home with him. So again, you need a village and you need to build that ecosystem around you. to be there and do the stuff. So it comes with a cost. And I want to admit, I sometimes I feel I'm a horrible mother. Like I'm not there when sometimes my kid is. So I was actually in India for HealthEdge India opening, in Bangalore office opening, and my kid had a science fair, and I had everything ready, like the kit, what she's doing. So I was giving instruction from India, and Shantanu was doing it with my kid. But let me tell you the guilt that I have that I'm not present with her doing that stuff. Um, that is like enormous, and you have to fight that battle being a leader as well.
Yeah, no, very understandable. So, in closing, would you like to share anything other than what you just said, which I think was very, very insightful about what it takes, like a village, basically, to grow a child, and you need to build that ecosystem to be successful as a leader?
I think leadership is a virtue, right? It's a big responsibility. And if you want to come to a leadership role, you have to learn to have growth mindset. Like you cannot be single sided and just read some leadership books and think things will go that route. So first, learn to have a growth mindset. Second, get comfortable with failures. And third, just grow out and try whatever you want to try, and just keep trying. And like one day you will be successful at it. So that is my suggestion to everybody who is listening to your podcast. And again, to be the leader that you want to see for yourself, right? Like you said the same thing. So like how you want to be treated, be the same person for others, and be that leader. So I would just say that.
Yeah, yeah, that is very, very good. And one thing that I would say is it's a journey that never stops, right? Like
Absolutely.
this, like whatever you did to get to a leadership position, you have to keep it going in order to, well, one, sustain it, but then eventually grow into further things in life as well as in profession. Well,
Yeah.
Priyanka, this has been an absolute pleasure. Very, very insightful, power packed, insightful conversation is how I would say it. Thank you so much.
Pleasure is all mine, and thank you, Pradeep, for giving this opportunity. And all the best with your podcast. And I hope you find more and more this kind of leadership stories to share.
Cool. Thank you very much. Thank you for listening. I hope you found this episode insightful. Join me for the next episode in 2 weeks where I interview another guest.